We'd love to see more founders from around the world start looking at this space and looking at the possibility of building actual drone-based businesses and not just looking at this as a category for fun and recreation.
You're listening to the Drone Radio Show podcast, the show about drones and the people who use them for business, fun, and research. Hosted by Randy Goers.
Hello, everyone. This is Randy Goers, and welcome to the Drone Radio Show podcast, episode 78. Where will the next generation of drone apps come from? If you ask that question to today's guest, he'd say Barcelona, Spain. Manav Gupta is a serial entrepreneur based in Hong Kong, China. He is founder and CEO of Brinc, an ultra hands-on accelerator offering a comprehensive program to very early-stage startup companies and nurturing them to business launch. He's here to talk about Brinc's newest venture, the Reimagine Drone Accelerator, a dedicated drone services incubator in Barcelona. The program will provide startups with financial and technical support to develop new and disruptive drone-based technologies. Brinc and their European partner Incubio are looking for passionate founders who are creating a new generation of services and applications for the commercial drone industry. Let's pick up the interview where I asked Manav to introduce himself.
My name is Manav Gupta, and I'm CEO of Brinc. Brinc is an IoT platform that works with companies through their entire life cycle and helps them go from napkin to shelf in as quick as 12 months. We have an accelerator program based out in Hong Kong where we help them conceptualize their business models, ensure that they're building the right kind of businesses by doing a lot of custom development, help them go through market validation. And then in South China, where we help the prototyping, product development, distribution, logistics, manufacturing, and so forth. We've worked with hundreds of founders in the last couple of years and have 15 companies in our portfolio. We're excited about the possibilities of supporting drone companies now.
And now you're expanding into Europe. Can you tell us about the Reimagine Drone Incubator?
Our goal is to identify and support the best founders that are building drone applications and services on top of existing drone technologies. What I mean by that is, we look at drones as a newly established medium where there's existing platforms that have opened up their developer kits, opened up their platforms for further development. They opened up the ability for developers to really start crafting and reimagining new ways to create new experiences and services and ecosystems. We saw, and as we've been looking at the drone space recently, we identified that the platform and the medium was moving fairly quickly and that there were some fantastic new developments in the space, similar to the smartphone industry that established itself, less than a decade ago, where the iPhone and the Google Play stores really opened up the ability for developers to kind of build applications and services on top of this existing medium. We look at drones in a very similar fashion, where they're in essence, flying computers or flying smartphones with cameras. And now those platforms are also starting to open up. And there's going to be some very exciting kind of possibilities that are built on top of these new mediums now.
How does the incubator work? How does it take a company from the idea stage to company launch?
Yeah, so as an incubator, we're kind of focused on the early stage. Just to give you a quick overview, we've just opened up our call, which opened up 4 weeks ago. We've already gotten some fantastic applications, and we're excited to sit down and review those over the next couple of weeks. We then make a decision in December out of all the applications of 15 companies that we'd like to work with and put through the program. Those 15 companies will then go join an online education kind of on-demand program where they will get to learn the essence of building the right kind of business, understanding their customer, identifying the right kind of business models, ensuring that they're building the right solution for the right market, and also getting some support on technical feasibility and conceptualization of those concepts. Once we've gotten a good framework and identified which of those 15 companies we really do believe, obviously we can't choose all the companies given kind of, limited resources and the fact that we do have to start narrowing down, we'll start selecting out of the 15, the 3 best companies that we believe we can also add the most value to in terms of going into a prototyping phase. We will then support those companies getting out to Barcelona and ensuring that we can then help them conceptualize those ideas and take it from a piece of paper or from early stage prototype into something that is demoable and fully validate this product and business makes sense. That will then start in February next year. That will run for about 3 months. And during the program, we'll basically be supporting the companies, ensuring that they can get the products and businesses to a demoable state, which will then be demoed across the drone show, which is happening in Barcelona, our own conference, which is the Internet of Life conference, which is happening in April, as well as back in Barcelona for kind of a larger investor demo day in May.
I assume that you're hoping to announce a couple of new products or technologies at the end of this program.
Oh, absolutely. We'd love actually all the companies to get out into market and further kind of validate and test out their applications and services. There's a lot of mediums that we'll be working with to help the founders ensure that they have identified what kind of platforms would make the most sense. We're not here to reinvent and build new drones. We just want to focus on building new applications and services. So the goal for us is, even the 15 companies that go through the online education will leave in a better state than where they joined, so they can also go and further their concepts and ideas. The 3 that then get selected, obviously we'd love all of them to enter the market and build their products and launch new businesses.
Can you talk about the benefits to the early stage companies that go through your program?
Sure. I mean, having worked with hundreds of founders over the last couple of years, one of the things we've realized is that founders and sometimes engineers get very excited about the prospect of building new technology, but sometimes don't get the full opportunity to focus on identifying how that technology can be leveraged, what the commercial applications are, what the various different kind of use cases are in terms of what scenarios and what commercial models and how will they actually convert this technology into commercially viable business. So the focus of the online education is to really help drill down into the specific commercial models, help them identify who their customers are, help them dive deeper into kind of, customer development, customer personas, help them identify who will be purchasing these products, how they will get deployed, and really ensure that we're building the right kind of business and that this is not just a technology that never sees the light of day. There's a lot of great technology that's coming out of fantastic students, fantastic universities, or new concepts that are getting rolled out. But we want to ensure that these technologies actually are able to come out into the world and make a real impact.
This is not the first time that Brinc has created an incubator. Is that right?
Oh, Brinc is an incubator and accelerator, right? So we've been doing this for the last 2.5 years or so. And the 15 companies we've already put through our program after looking at hundreds and hundreds of companies over the last couple of years have received similar support within the category for consumer IoT, which is basically the convergence of hardware, software, and data for the consumer market. And in this case, we've kind of broadened that horizon into also industrial applications and specifically are targeting drone applications. So this is our background. This is what we do. And we've been working with fantastic companies already to help them go through similar processes and really help them bring their products to market. This past year, we've raised a little over 13 million US as follow-on investment for our teams. We've also helped now put thousands of new products in market that originally were very early stage concepts that now have commercial models, their products, they're packaged, they have distribution channels, and they're ready to scale. And we're excited about the possibility to do the same thing here, but again, with a focus of the software and the applications and the services. And then it'll be interesting to see how a lot of these companies enter the market correctly.
Who else is involved with Brinc in organizing this incubator?
So our partners in Spain is a group called Incubio. Incubio is a big data accelerator based in Europe. They are on ground and we will be, working out of their premises in Barcelona in a fantastic location called the Conundrum, which was a kind of old dog racing track that's been converted into a new startup hub. It's a very cool space in Barcelona. So the teams will actually be located there. Incubio and us will be both running the kind of online education and supporting the online content. And then when it comes into offline, that'll be more of our work to ensure that, we can bring our technical expertise and also support the proper conceptualization of these companies, as well as ensure that our China team can come in and support where needed.
How does the first phase of the training work for the 15 teams? Will they need to go to Barcelona?
No, that's on demand. So everything will be on the internet. So people can be location agnostic. They can set up wherever they'd like and get the full support of the program. And of course, we'll be checking with them online as well.
And then when you narrow it down to 3 companies?
Yeah. So when we choose the final 3 companies, they'll be moving to Barcelona.
I'm curious, why did you decide upon Barcelona as the site for the incubator?
Well, personally, I've been traveling back and forth between Barcelona for the last 5.5, 6 years or so, going to the Mobile World Congress, which established itself there and has become a fairly large and one of the largest kind of technology conferences in the world. Last year, there was a little over 100,000 people there. And it's become kind of the epicenter now of conversation around mobile and networking technologies and also IoT. while we were there exploring kind of opportunities, we've also seen the ecosystem grow fairly well over the last couple of years. There's been a lot more kind of risk capital. There's more innovative new companies that are starting to set up. There's a lot of fantastic design talent. And there's a lot of great technology talent that are building fantastic applications and services with sort of a good understanding of, market potentials. Obviously, we were excited about drones. We were excited about drone technologies. And we saw kind of a gap in the market and that there was a unique opportunity in conjunction with Incubio to launch this program. And we said, you know what, let's give this a shot and let's start seeing what kind of companies are out there and how we can properly support them.
Is this seen as an entry into the European market or an expansion into the global market?
Well, for us, we've been pulling in teams globally already. We have teams from the US, we have teams from Europe, we have teams from various parts of Asia, as well as obviously in Hong Kong. For us, we've always believed that innovation and entrepreneurship is global. And we want to work with the best founders from around the world and ensure that we have a presence either through local partnerships or through our own team in local markets so we can be closer to our founders. Obviously, we love Europe. There's some fantastic innovation happening all around Europe, in London, in Berlin, in France, in Stockholm, in Finland, in so many markets all around Europe. We've been seeing some fantastic companies come out of all those markets, and Barcelona is also a market we've been watching. And obviously, we're excited about continuing to support more companies in Europe, and Barcelona is also, one great starting point for us there.
In your opinion, what qualities make for successful team candidates for this type of experience?
Teams that's very open to learn, to kind of rethink their original thesis and is open to working with, obviously, a great group of people, working with a broader network, looking to kind of garner the right support to really frame their idea correctly, to ensure that they've properly gone through the process of identifying their customer. Some of the teams we've had the hardest time working with are teams that have not been very open to coaching or not been very open to reimagining their business models and reimagining their target customer segments. And those have been some of our biggest challenges when we've worked with founders in the past. And we've also had to let founders leave our program. Since we have kind of a gated approach and we support companies at stages, if it's becoming hard to ensure that we can build the right kind of business in the long run, then we also have to allow, for everyone's benefit, teams to part ways. When we're looking at drone technologies and applications and services here for drone technologies, being an entrepreneur is not easy. Launching a business requires a tremendous amount of effort, a tremendous amount of time. It's a 24/7 job. And there has to be a real passion and clear mission and a real kind of driver for a lot of these founders to build the right type of businesses. There has to be motivation around their reasoning behind entering the space and, wanting to build this kind of technology, wanting to build this kind of business. Obviously, for us, our goal and thesis as a program has been working towards identifying the best founders and working with them to help unlock the world's data to improve life. For us, we look at founders that are working to really create life-changing or world-changing solutions that today just need the right kind of support and the right guidance so that they can, kind of kickstart their journey into entrepreneurship.
You're also working in a part of China that may be characterized as drone central, where some of the largest drone companies are located.
Yeah.
It's called the Pearl River Delta area. And could you give us some background on what makes this area so unique as far as drone technology is concerned?
Pearl River Delta was kind of established as the kind of original trade hub of the world. And it still is one of the largest trading hubs on the planet for almost every kind of product. Shenzhen specifically was established as the SEZ, which is the special economic zone for development of consumer electronic technologies. And there was a lot of tax benefits and subsidies and so forth. And there still are for companies that are building new innovative new technologies and prototyping and manufacturing in South China. As we were setting up, having personally lived in South China for about 8 years before moving to Hong Kong and working with a lot of these factories, a lot of these partners, we recognized that all the capabilities were already existent in China, the logistics, the supply chains, the ability to source products, the ability to use ODM solutions, and also kind of package existing products in market and bring them to market globally. All of this was already there, but there was a gap between the Pearl River Delta and the rest of the world because doing business in China isn't very easy if you don't speak the language or don't know where to go and how to navigate the local market. So when I moved to Hong Kong and we set up Brinc, the goal was very simple. We wanted to ensure that, one, it was very easy for people to now take these fantastic ideas and leverage the China backbone. And at the same time, that the manufacturers who were working in China could also start getting the right kind of new innovative products because the manufacturing ecosystem at that point, and to some extent still, was slowing down. And, there's a constant kind of quest for products and new solutions to help create a new lifeblood. So we look at the Pearl River Delta region, part of our IoT trifecta. IoT trifecta for us is Hong Kong, which we look at as the best location to set up a business, to incorporate a business, to get legal guidance, to get structuring, and also financing. And then Shenzhen's the best location for prototyping, product development, and really taking that conceptual idea and bringing it to life. And then Guangzhou is kind of a logistics, distribution, and manufacturing kind of management hub where you can now, ensure that the products have the right supply chains in place and then work to get these products into homes as Guangzhou hosts some of the largest trade fairs in the world 2 times a year in April and October, called the Guangzhou Hui. So we've modeled our program around the current strengths of the 3 cities and then built a bridge between those 3 cities and put teams in place so that we can support these founders in properly understanding how the market works.
Can you give us some names of companies in the area that we might recognize?
In Shenzhen, there's a lot of manufacturers, obviously, global names that obviously are not in drones, but are manufacturing for large companies. Everyone's heard of Foxconn, clearly, that manufactures the Apple product, and they're based out in Shenzhen, plus have kind of satellite locations all around China. Wistron, which is out in China, plus out in Taiwan. I mean, there's just a plethora. Like almost every one of the consumer electronics products you buy anywhere in the world is manufactured out there. DJI, which is one of Hong Kong's largest kind of success stories, also has a fantastic supply chain out in China and has now also become one of China's largest success stories as a global brand. I mean, they started as a manufacturing arm and obviously have built out this fantastic business on top of that. And now have, consumer business, and now have also started entering the industrial space and building out fantastic drones that also can be leveraged as platforms and built on top of.
Is there a real buzz of innovation and entrepreneurship in the area? Or is that type of activity a little bit more subdued and found behind the scenes?
Well, I'd say Shenzhen is probably one of the best places to rapidly prototype. And if you look at innovation and entrepreneurship within hardware advancement, there's no market in the world like it. You can go out to locations in Shenzhen where you can quickly grab different components, sensors, and technologies and go pass it to someone who will help you prototype that in a couple of days, and you'll have a functional prototype ready to go. I mean, they'll use different technologies that are already out in market. There's existing kind of circuits. There's existing breadboards that are built. There's open source platforms for drones. There's open source platforms for smartwatches, all very modular. There's a company which, I don't know if you guys have seen, this is probably the only one that maybe made international news, called MakeBlock, which was coming out of Shenzhen, which is intelligent drone that can kind of reconfigure itself. So it's a modular drone that allows you to, if you need to fly faster, the drone can kind of reorganize itself and reconfigure itself. If you need to carry more weight, it can reconfigure itself to a different center of gravity and add more motors. And if you talk about hardware innovation, there's no market like Shenzhen. They're consistently pushing the bar and consistently trying to push the boundaries in terms of the new kind of products they can bring to market. They do it very rapidly and sometimes without a clear business model. And that's where we think there's a good kind of bridge between the international world that's been more focused on the ecosystems, the applications and services, and how they could build kind of the commercially viable businesses on top of these hardware platforms.
Yeah, I was going to say that it sounds like you recognize that there's an opportunity in the area to marry the application development side with the hardware development capacity of the companies in the area.
Yeah, and I mean, there's some very interesting companies also popping out in China for, DJI is a fantastic example of a company that's built not only the hardware, but also the software. Their software is fantastic. And if you've ever played with one of the drones, you'll see just how stable, just how expansive the software suite is. And so there's a lot of software innovation also coming out from the market, but we think there's going to be an interesting opportunity as global developers who have the application and ecosystem and service experience are able to start plugging into these hardware platforms and kind of unlocking different APIs and unlocking new value.
Autonomy seems to be a really big topic for drone systems these days. Are you hoping that some of the companies will tackle this challenge?
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you look at drone technologies, if there is no autonomy, then it's very hard to actually build a scalable drone business. Ultimately, smartphones went down a similar path where originally it was kind of informative content-based applications. Those applications then kind of went into phase 2 where they became a little bit more extensive and there were subscription models kind of built on top of that. but it still required a lot of manual input and a lot of manual processing. And the era we're kind of entering now with smartphones is very autonomous with tremendous AI and a lot of cloud-based and back-end algorithms that are just looking to streamline and tie a lot of this data together and create new value for the end consumer. With drones, if we're not able to create autonomous flights, or we're not able to create, let's say, better control technologies for obstacle avoidance, optimizing path selection, or allowing drones to identify other drones that are in the space and create hives, or improve their computer vision, then it's going to be very hard for developers to actually kind of create new value. So I think obviously this is going to be an iterative process.
What are you personally hoping to see?
The stuff that I'm excited about is a lot of the kind of infrastructure stuff, which maybe not something that we would primarily support through the incubator because it's more of the hardware innovation. But if we talk about the platform side, I think there's going to be some very interesting opportunities for folks to build docking stations, recharge stations, locations where drones can land and take off and continue to expand out their horizon, expand out their coverage while still staying autonomous and allowing developers to continue to almost program on live and also learn and improve the value of the hardware. So I think, if we were looking specifically around software, I think there's going to be a lot of advancements around control technologies and on the platform side around the infrastructure. If we look specifically at kind of services and applications, we're excited about a lot of stuff in the healthcare space.
From your perspective, what trends do you see in the market that we should be thinking about?
I think, drones have become obviously a buzzword and a lot of folks are starting to create a lot of very interesting kind of gaming applications, drone racing technologies, drone toys. I think it's becoming a consumer buzzword now because drones are not new, right? They've been around for a long time. But there's more awareness. And if we think about where entrepreneurs and developers, will end up spending their time, obviously, if something passes kind of the hype cycle and becomes consumer adopted technology, there's more chance that we'll attract more developers and more founders to start building in that space. So I think we're going to see more growth there in terms of more founders entering the space and starting to work with these platforms now that they're already established. If we were to look specifically at applications or experiences within the healthcare space, there's a lot of corporate and kind of old school companies that have now started doing and investing in innovation, testing out new technologies, search and rescue, humanitarian missions, a lot of stuff in agri-tech and farming, obviously, which is a massive application as kind of computer vision improves.
Earlier, you mentioned a conference called the Drone Show in Barcelona. What's the story behind that show?
So Barcelona has kind of put itself on the map recently as the mobile world capital as they won the bid with GSMA to be the international kind of hub for mobile networking technologies. They've recently also done something very similar in the IoT space and rolled out the IoT World Congress, which now happens every year in October. And in a very similar sense, they've now recently rolled out the Drone Show in Barcelona, which is a similar kind of industry show for drone enthusiasts as well as drone professionals and industry experts to come in and understand and play with new drone technologies. A lot of the stuff from what we've seen in the past in other trade shows have been more hardware centric. So if you go to shows here in Asia and you go to the Guangzhou Hui in China or you go to the Hong Kong Electronics Show, you see new hardware advancements, but not necessarily new software advancements. And what we're excited about seeing at the drone show in Barcelona is new hardware advancements. And I think that's going to be very interesting because it'll give the industry kind of new lifeblood in terms of new technologies. Very similar to going to old school trade shows where, you see this kind of dumb product on the shelf and it's like, cool, this thing does one thing very well. Companies, I think, will be able to now frame out the various features and functionality and also showcase potentially developer platforms that, they'd love to open up to developers to also build on. So, we're also excited about seeing what else is out there and what other companies are working on. And it'll also give our companies an opportunity to learn from the market and really stay abreast with the industry.
Is the idea to have the winners of your competition showcase their products at the drone show?
We're still working on that. We'll definitely be visiting the show. We are working to identify if we'll also be exhibiting. I think it'll really depend on how fast and how quickly we're able to get to a point where the technology is also showcaseable, plus really dependent on if the founders are ready to go do that.
Did I miss anything that we should talk about?
We also briefly kind of mentioned this. We're also hosting our own conference next year called the Internet of Life Summit, which we ran this year under a different brand called Launch, and are relaunching next year with a new brand called Internet of Life, which is really kind of about the convergence of physical and the digital and the new kind of augmented world we're about to live in, where hardware enables kind of new data connectivity and unlocks different parts of the world. So we're hosting this show next year in April. The teams are also going to get an opportunity to come out there. Focus is around emerging technologies. So obviously IoT, AR, VR, and kind of how that medium will play a role in control, plus gestures, plus new experiences, drones, robotics, AI, etc. So obviously also if there's anyone interested to come and see what's happening out here in Hong Kong and seeing what's happening in kind of the world of emerging technologies, would love to have them out there.
Finally, what impact do you hope the Reimagine Drone Incubator will have on the drone industry or on people's lives?
So I think the biggest impact we'd love to see is that more developers are now aware that drone technologies and platforms are now being established as an open medium for development and extension. We'd love to have more developers and more founders understand this and recognize the possibilities of the new types of applications and services they can build on top of these mediums. We'd love to see, new advancements in healthcare. We'd love to see new advancements in drone technologies. We'd love to see more founders from around the world start looking at this space and looking at the possibility of building actual drone-based businesses and not just looking at this as a category for fun and recreation. So if we can start looking at, consumer-friendly, consumer-viable applications where drones, work towards improving our airways, understanding our planet, understanding our environment, and truly working towards improving life, would be super excited.
That's it for episode 78 of the Drone Radio Show. I hope you enjoyed hearing from Manav Gupta of Brinc and learning about the Reimagine Drone Incubator. I want to thank Manav for taking the time to speak with me and sharing his insights. If you want more information on the Reimagine Drone Incubator, check out the website at reimaginedrone.com. You can also connect with Manav at brinc.io. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a positive review on iTunes. It really does help. And as always, I hope you'll listen to more episodes of the Drone Radio Show podcast to hear how others are using drones for business, fun, and research. For the Drone Radio Show, I'm Randy Goers.
This has been the Drone Radio Show podcast. More information on today's show can be found on our website at www.droneradioshow.com. If you're using drone technology for business, fun, or research and would like to share your experience on the show, please visit our website and fill out a guest appearance application. And don't forget to follow us on your favorite social media channels.